Hi there, I'm Adrian, and today I've got a nice slow blues solo for you. And I've designed this solo to illustrate some ways that you might go about mixing both major and minor sounds. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about blending the minor pentatonic with the major pentatonic scale. Now, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the minor pentatonic scale. We all know that that sounds fantastic when you're taking a blues solo, but what you find when you listen to a lot of the great blues players is this really nice blend of both major and minor. And this is a kind of sound that a lot of beginner and intermediate players kind of struggle to pull off. So I'm going to be talking about a few ways that you might think about doing this. So let's take a look at this solo. For this solo then, we're in the key of C, and most of the solo can be seen as a mixture of the C minor pentatonic scale and the C major pentatonic scale. I might play a major pentatonic lick and then follow it up with a minor pentatonic lick, or what I quite often do is blend both of those sounds within a single lick. But I don't want this to turn into a theory lesson, so I'm going to try and keep fairly light on the theory. I'll try and explain a little bit about my thinking in this solo, but for those of you that are interested, I'll try and post a bit more in-depth theory and analysis up on my website. So just before we get started on the solo, let's just get our bearings and recap a couple of basic scale fingerings. This solo is played mainly up here in the 8th position. We've got our C root note here, our 8th fret on the low E string, and we can play our C minor pentatonic scale here. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with that. And also in that position, starting from the same root note, we can play the C major pentatonic scale, which looks like this. If you're not familiar with the major pentatonic scale, I have done a couple of basic videos explaining exactly what that is and how to play it on the guitar, so you can find those videos on my website. You might like to check those out. So we've got our two scales, and what I like to do is kind of visualize those two scales as overlaying one another, and you can see how that really expands the number of notes available to you when you're taking a blues in C. It's not to say that each of those notes will sound equally good and work equally well at any given moment in a blues. You've got to use your ear and use your judgment as to which notes are working over the particular chords, but in theory you've got all of those notes available to you when you're taking a blues solo in C. So into the solo itself then, and I'm going to take you through it lick by lick. I probably won't describe every single note and every single technique. If you need it, I will be putting a full tab and music up on my website. There'll be a link underneath this video. So let's get started with the first phrase, and we're kicking off with a major pentatonic sounding phrase on the top two strings. So we've got that sort of little box there, 8 and 10 on the top two strings, and then I'm bending the 10th fret on the top string. That's bending a D up to an E, so I'm hitting the major third of the C chord. So straight away we've got that major pentatonic flavour. Then the second lick is kind of a response to the first one. So we're starting off in the same way, but then we're going minor. I'm hitting the 11th fret on the top string, which is from the minor pentatonic scale. And that's really outlining the change from the 1 to the 4 chord in the blues. We're going from this, you've got the third of the C chord there, and then to the flat 7 of the 4 chord. And then the next phrase is one of these licks combining both major and minor elements. We're starting off the same way with that little major pentatonic box. And then in the second half of the lick, we're kind of going a little bit minor. So we've got 10 and 8 on the B, then into the minor pentatonic scale, 10 and 8 on the G, and then finishing off major again. So going from the, very common in blues, the minor third to the major third. So that's the 8th fret on the G, hammering on to the 9th fret. So that lick is really kind of going back and forth between minor and major, or major and minor. Next phrase then, we've got this is leading us into the 4 chord. So we're starting again with this little motif we've got on the top 2 strings. Again, blending minor and major, so we start minor, but then we go major with those 2 notes there. That's the 6th and the 3rd of the F7. Again, hitting the 3rd of the F7, and then the root. So then into the next phrase. So again, a real blend of those the 2 sounds here. We're starting off with a bit of major pentatonic scale, but then we're hitting the minor 3rd, then up into the 2nd position of the C minor pentatonic scale, but we're finishing off with another of these hammer-ons from the minor 3rd to the major 3rd. And then just a response to that phrase, we've got this is more kind of a minor blues scale stuff here. So we just got to bend 10th fret on the G. This might be a pre-bend actually. I can't remember how I played it at the start, but and then so minor pentatonic here. Once again, the minor 3rd to the major 3rd hammer on. I think I might just fill in the gap in the phrase there with a couple of double stops, just that kind of tritone outlining that C7 sound. So sliding up to the 8th fret on the D, 9th fret on the G. Then we're going into the 5 chord, the G7, and we've got and this is you're emphasizing the major qualities of that G7 chord. So we've got there's our G note there, the root, we've got the 2nd, and I'm bending up to the major 3rd. And then down to the 4 chord, and I'm really doing a similar idea. And I've got a little double stop thing there as well. But quite often you can do that in the blues. You play an idea over the 5 chord, then play a similar phrase 2 frets lower over the 4 chord at that point in the blues. And then into the last couple of bars we've got classic blues idea here. So minor 3rd to the major 3rd again, to the root, and then sliding up to the same note on the B string. And then we've just got this kind of a flashier lick here, kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan style lick, and that's just again mixing major, minor, blues scale. We've got it's minor pentatonic. Then we've got that little kind of flutter there going from the 8th to the 10th fret on the top string, coming down the blues scale, resolving to the root. And then just to turn it round, I've got this. So once again, this minor to major 3rd, and then G down an octave. Let me finish then by piecing together the entire solo nice and slowly so you can hear how it all fits together, and you can hear some of the rhythms as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Well, there we have it for this lesson. I hope you have some fun trying to learn this solo. I don't think it's a particularly easy solo to learn, so those of you with less playing experience might like to just take on board some of the general ideas, learn a lick or two, and then come back to the rest of it when you're ready. More advanced players, by all means, have a go at learning this complete solo note for note, and maybe taking the solo as a starting point for some soloing and improvisation ideas of your own. But have fun, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.